Hey guys, so sorry the lighting is kind of weird. The lighting has been so annoying for the past like week and a half because of the terrible weather here in England, and so I just haven't been recording videos. But I am today recording my April wrap-up video despite it being a really upsetting April wrap-up. I'm kind of ashamed, you guys. So I know I said in my TBR video that I was going to read those books and that I in the future would not do TBRs, and I didn't even read the books in the TBR, if I'm perfectly honest. I read 3 of them actually, and I think I gave myself 4 or 5 of them. The first book I read this month you guys have already seen, and is The Descendants by Kaui, Hart, Hemmings, and gave it 4 out of 5 stars. If you want to know more about how I felt about this book, you can look at my review, which I will link below in the description. The next book I read was something I read because I know there's a film coming out called Now Is Good, and the book is called Before I Die by Jenny Downham. And this was good. It's the story of a girl who is dying of cancer, and she has this list of things she wants to do before she dies, and it's just her kind of fulfilling them, and one of the main ones is like having sex for the first time and things like that. Teenage things, and it was really good. There was some really powerful writing in here. There were some beautiful quotations and passages in this book, and it was just a really enjoyable read. I read it, I think, in a day. Yeah, and I sobbed for some time. Overall, I think I gave this 3.5 out of 5 stars. The next book I read I was really hesitant to mention at all. I didn't actually read the whole thing, which is why I was hesitant, and that is The Devil Wears Prada by Weisberger. And this has been a book I've been wanting to read for years because I love the film so much. The film is way better. Yeah, this was horrible. I'm not gonna rate it because I didn't read the whole thing, though I'd probably give it 1 star. It was just like the characters weren't the characters I loved in the film. No one was like they were in the film. No one was likable in this. You're supposed to kind of like Andy, but you just nothing. I just felt nothing for this book except bored and kind of annoyed. The last full book I read this month, and it was an upsetting month because I was out of town for 2 weeks and I also got an eye infection, which made reading really difficult, so that is why I didn't get a lot of reading done this month. The last book I read was Post Office by Bukowski, and I've read some of his poetry and thought it was nice. I'm not a huge poetry fan, but I liked his poetry. I was really excited to read this because I thought Charles Bukowski, he's really well known, he's kind of a figure that I've heard about and I've read like about him but never really read anything of his work, and this is his first work and I really did not like it. And it's not because a lot of people say like, oh, you're a woman, it's not a woman's book, which I've read some reviews and a lot of men who reviewed it said that, oh, if you're a woman you probably won't like this, and that's not why I didn't like it. I didn't like it because it was vulgar towards women or any of that. It felt like a mix between an adult Holden Caulfield and that boy you met in freshman year of university who kept a blog and chronicled his life and tried to be like Charles Bukowski, and I think that's probably why those boys are like that, because they read Charles Bukowski and they're like, oh, I want to be like him, he is a symbol for men. But yeah, it felt like reading a blog by someone I don't want to be friends with, or Holden Caulfield grown up and not changed. Yeah, I was not a fan. Not a fan of this, and I respect him for what he's done. I respect like his contribution to literature. I just myself did not like this at all. So 2 stars out of 5 stars. There was some interesting writing and there was sort of interesting story, but I just overall I didn't enjoy it. And the only other thing I read this month, I know, tragic, I actually did start 2 books, which I'll mention in a second, but I read the first story in this book, and I'm not gonna review it because I want to review the book as a whole at some point, but this is George R.R. Martin's Dream Songs, and he wrote Game of Thrones, and I really liked the 1 story I've read, so I'm excited to read more of these over time, and I really want to read Game of Thrones. I just need to get through some other stuff first. I'm currently in the process of reading 2 books, which is very unlike me, but one is nonfiction, one is fiction, which is why I'm justifying it. Usually I just read 1 book at a time. I've been reading them both for ages too, well, ages like a week. Owen Shear's Resistance, which Kathy of Just Kiss My Frog recommended and loved, and I really like it so far. I'm only like 50 pages in, but it's a really beautiful story, so I'm enjoying that. And also A Land of Two Halves, An Accidental Tour of New Zealand by Bennett. And as I mentioned before, I love travel writing. I'm very picky with travel writing, and I read a lot here and there to find out what I like, because I know what I like, but I can't explain what I like. So I think this might be what I like. I'm only like 20 pages in, but I can't be sure yet. I'll get back to you guys all that in the future. And that is it for this this wrap-up video. I'm sorry that it was kind of lame because I didn't get too much reading done, but hopefully next month I'm gonna be traveling a lot again, so fingers crossed. I'm gonna go now. Have a good day, and let me know what you've been reading in the comments. See you guys next time.